Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me today on another episode of Retail Redeveloped. Now, we have a very long-distance caller today on our show. We are being joined by Arytis Lauris from calling in all the way from Lithuania. Now, who is Arytis? He is the CEO and co-founder of Omniscent, a marketing automation platform focused on e-commerce marketers. If you listen to this show at all, you know that e-commerce, omnichannel marketing, direct-to-consumer brands, people selling stuff on the internet all over the world is massively important to what I do and what I care about. Now, he has spent the last decade building and bootstrapping startups and making his mark in the e-commerce world. Since 2014, Arytis has been on a mission to use his platform to empower small and medium-sized e-commerce merchants, and even landed Omniscent in G2's selection of the top 50 products for marketers in 2019 and the top 100 software companies in EMEA. Arytis, thank you so much for joining me today. I am so excited that you're here. But do me a favor, before we really start nerding out on retail and omnichannel and all things marketing, would you just tell everybody a little bit about who you are, what you do in your own words, and how you came to sit in the chair that you're in now as the CEO of this cutting-edge marketing platform company?
Hey, so thanks for inviting. It's really great to be here and to talk to you. Everything retail, everything marketing, and commerce in general. Yeah, so this is a very good question. So actually, my journey began when I had a digital marketing agency back in the day, serving all like kind of customers, including e-commerce sites. And then we see that, those who are selling online, they have like unique capabilities and unique opportunities to run their marketing campaigns. Unique capabilities is because you have so much data there, which you can analyze because entire customer journey happens online. On the other hand, is really where you can benefit so much because you have all of that data, you have a lot of triggers, you can automate a lot of things and really start doing marketing based on your customer behavior. So that's how we launched what Omniscent is now. We did it a bit more than 6 years ago. So it's kind of not like their old company on the other hand. So already a bit getting more and more mature. So at that time we launched a product with a promise to build the easiest to use in the market, starting with really like small merchants, one-man show, those who have just, after-hour activities running their online stores, etc. And then we start growing, and now our sweet spot is kind of mid-size markets, mid-size online stores, basically those who are selling online, or omnichannel as well. So those who sell online as well as having their brick and mortar stores. So via our API, you can synchronize the data with your, let's say, loyalty programs, online loyalty, physical still, as we call those old school physical programs already. But yeah, so synchronize all that data, have a lot of data to better segment, to better run automated campaigns and really make marketing a bit more relevant for our customers, while personalizing, segmenting, and sending right messages on the right time through the right channel, which is very important as well. As we have started as just purely email service provider, but as entire commerce is going towards omnichannel direction, which we strongly believe that, and we can elaborate on that a bit later. So we believe that marketing should be omnichannel as well. And marketers should provide our customers with ability to choose the most preferred channel or channels for a brand to communicate with a customer. Yeah, so that's kind of, a bit of a story and what Omniscent is now.
So walk me through, and everybody has a different definition of what omnichannel is. Would you take a second and walk people through how you define omnichannel and how you attack omnichannel from a marketing standpoint? Just walk people, just for context for the rest of the interview, walk people through what that is in your world and how you're attacking it on a kind of this multi-level strategy.
So definitely, usually, like, especially I believe among your listeners of a podcast is like omnichannel is definition of a retail itself or commerce, as we strongly believe that entire commerce is moving that direction, and there will be no definition like between like e-commerce or brick and mortar, like retails, etc. And the entire commerce will be just absolutely seamless experience for the customers to really purchase whatever they want and using whatever channels they prefer. And brick and mortar stores will be converted into just showrooms. We can fit what best works for you, where you can like spend time and experience, and those will be entertaining us as customers more than trying to sell something, and we will be buying just purely like online or even in the store, and the product will be delivered to our doors the same day, because those two will be combined. So it's kind of a traditional definition, which probably is nothing new to anyone, and this is what we strongly believe that it's gonna happen. And our perspective was that it's going to be a default of commerce, like 7 to 10 years. But with this current situation of this coronavirus and crisis, and a lot of businesses moving online more and more, so it seems like this crisis is really accelerating this omnichannel perception, and then the businesses are being forced to go more omnichannel. So it's about retail, about marketing point of view, on what really Omniscent provides, and what is definition for us here is really once us as the customers are being able to purchase anywhere. So we should be able to choose the most preferred channels to communicate with the brand as well. So from a marketing standpoint, is really for the marketers is just the ability to have different channels on a single customer flow and having a single customer view. Let's say this is the customer A, about whom we know that, okay, this one has subscribed to our email communication, to our text messages communication, and maybe our web push notifications. So what usually happens now, we can use those different channels, but we are totally detached. There's no data synchronization. And Omnichannel is a way to putting all those different channels on a single workflow.
So which one of these methods, we'll call them, because you touched on a few really quickly there, was Facebook, email, text, notifications from your shopping cart. I mean, which one of these is progressing the quickest? Like which one of these is becoming kind of more of a go-to? Like I'll say from my own personal experience, I don't use Facebook a tremendous amount. I use Instagram a lot. I'm a visual guy. I enjoy Instagram. And now I feel like my thread is populated with very, very targeted stuff all the time now, right? Like I just bought an electric bike because I'm a nerd and I like to ride my bike to work and to the grocery store and stuff like that. So now every time I'm on Instagram, I'm like in a freaking showroom for electric bikes all the time. So that's the one that I'm seeing a lot. But as a person that's doing this for a living, what has you excited, or how are you guys able to add value to your customers? Or am I just talking about one leg of the chair and Instagram is just a piece of the pie, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so very good question. So Instagram, absolutely. I'm a bike nerd, by the way, as well. I love riding bikes. But just Instagram is still kind of more for customer acquisition, and I believe it's because of the interest, because you have visited certain websites and maybe you just showed interest in posting some bike images, etc. on your personal Instagram account. So it's still kind of Instagram serves more for a customer acquisition side, and for customer retention, then you have to have a permission from your customer to communicate. So it's kind of email is purely a customer retention channel. You cannot just acquire a list and start sending. Yeah, text messages. It's again SMS is just purely subscription based. You cannot just purchase the list and start sending. At least not in the US, not in Europe. Where it's kind of pretty limited. So it's all about customer retention channels. The same with web push notifications. You have to subscribe to that. So Instagram for sure, for acquisition is really hot. Same Facebook, still Google, they're performing the best. For acquisition, purely acquisition, permission-based communication, it's SMS is really living its renaissance. So return on investments are really good. SMS, what is the difference comparing like nowadays SMS to the text message 5 years ago, even 3 years ago? So like vast majority of the audience, they have smartphones, like 90-something%. So that means that they can follow up entire customer like journey happens on the phone. No need to be detached as it used to be. Sending SMS with some discount code at the link, which you have to sit down by your desktop and enter the URL back. So there is no need for that. It's one thing. Another thing is really to unsubscribe from SMS communication nowadays. It's as easy to unsubscribe from email communication. So there is either a link there, or you can just send a stop message, like stop one word, and you automatically unsubscribe. So there is no risk for us as customers to leave our phone number, as we will be spammed too much, overwhelmed as it was the case in the past. So really, SMS is living its renaissance for marketers. ROI is very good. Usually the subscribers list are much lower comparing to email because marketers are not utilizing this channel that effectively and that much. So those lists are not being grown in the past, but those who do, so usually they see like really, really great results. And from omnichannel perspective, combining at least the email and let's say SMS, those two channels, our customers who use those two channels for their communication, they end up in like 47% high conversion rates. It's comparing to just one channel, which is usually email. So this is kind of a huge increase in the results. And you covered like a bit, or you touched a bit Facebook Messenger. So this is a very effective channel. Just it has so many limitations, like technical limitations, and especially after Cambridge Analytica scandal and Trump election campaign scandal, the scope of what you can do using this message was kind of limited. So it's really not that huge of a scope how you can apply this channel. But let's say in back to stock, or it's very effective where the customer is really subscribing for that specific message. Okay, this product is out of stock. I want to receive a message when you get it, or like price drop alert, which are kind of pretty kind of trigger based, and then like you as a customer subscribe for that specific message. So I would say and of course email is still the most effective channel, but email combined.
I thought email was a dinosaur. So email, I thought email was passe now. It's still the most effective after cutting edge marketing guy, and you're telling me the email is still the most effective. That's amazing.
Yeah, it is. And I was kind of I don't do that much now, but when I just started like working with email marketing, and I was comparing it with Madonna, the singer. I mean, she's not that young anymore, but I mean, she's keep being the best-selling female artist globally. So
I don't think she would like hearing you say that she's not that young anymore. I don't know Miss Madonna very well, but I don't think she would like that one bit.
But yeah, maybe, but hopefully she's not listening. I mean, I would like everyone in the world to listen to your podcast, but in this case, probably it would be better if Madonna would not listen.
I'll look at the analytics to see if she's subscribed. So I want to go back to something specific that you said earlier, and I want you to tell me a little bit about where this came from. First of all, you mentioned how you consider brick and mortar traditional retail old school retail, and that you thought in 7 to 10 years that retail is going to be more brick and mortar showrooms, more some place that you go and get a taste for the brand, you get an experience for the brand, but you're not shopping there. You're not walking out with the shirt, or you're not walking out with a new pair of shoes or whatever. What is it specifically that makes you feel so strongly that that's the case? And how much do you think, and I know this is speculation, that this could be sped up even more because of COVID-19 that we're all living in as we speak?
Yeah, so I would start probably like with a second part of the question. So why COVID-19 is really have a huge impact on that. So a lot of, even like among our customer base, the biggest challenges for those who, let's say, had like 20, 19, or maybe like 5 brick and mortar locations and augmented it with their like e-commerce sites. So those are kind of facing the biggest challenge because they have a lot of like staff. They have to somehow reshuffle all things, their business operations, and they were not putting that much effort into their digital presence and online presence. So definitely it's accelerating because all of those, they are refocusing themselves into e-commerce, into online channel. And a lot of we see so many pretty like decent companies starting their online sales only now, although they had like, for quite many years, very well established, really sustainable businesses for many years.
They weren't focusing on the e-commerce yet. This is making them, and they have no choice but to do it right now. Right.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I'm amazed how many of those, which are really like good companies, large companies. I thought that everybody like at least like mid-size are already online. So it's really accelerating. It's the second part of your question. So I have no doubt so that, everybody will see or already saw that, okay, you have to be online. This is definitely the future, and you cannot just rely on what you were doing for many, many years. It's the first thing. Second thing, what makes me believe that physical stores will be just showrooms. So it's, more and more customers are really willing to have kind of more of experience and availability. So kind of first one is like emotional side, and the second one is a more practical side. So probably like emotional side. So I believe Apple was really the pioneer to show us how important it is to have like emotion in the store. So they have started renting, those huge spaces to sell like few devices. Don't have like many, especially at that time, they didn't have like huge variety of products to sell, but they start creating experiences. And like the statistics of like shopping malls, those who have like more experience, like other kind of entertainment, like cinema theaters and whatever, skating rinks and bowlings, etc., they attract more and more customers to visit those shopping malls. So people are looking more kind of for experience. And then this is more of our emotional trend. And the second is really like rational and practical, because what happened in the past and what actually happens in recent days, I myself go to a store, let's say Apple clothing. I fit the jacket, which I find the color alike, but I cannot find my size of that color. But there is my size of another color, which I don't like. I like blue one, but I only find red one. So what do? I fit the red one, and they say, okay, we have exactly the same jacket in our different store. So would you like to go there and pick one? We can call them and ask them to keep it for you, or would you like us to bring it here to this store, and you can come after a few days to pick the one you like? But I'm not sure if the blue jacket M size, let's say in my case, really fits me as good as the red jacket in my case. So what it's a practical side. It will be much more convenient for me to go there and to have like just one pair of everything in the store. For me as a customer to be able to fit that, to touch it, to read if those are books, etc., etc. And I say this is just only one pair of like, let's say, my blue jacket. I fit it, I like it, I order it at the cashier or assistant just stopping by, and exactly the product I want is being delivered to my doors the same day. So this is a practical side of me as a customer really having much better experience where brick and mortar, big and larger showroom and, e-commerce augmenting that and then they all combined are provided by a much better experience.
Obviously, you guys have the ability to market all over the world, and you have clients from all over the world. Are there specific marketing channels that work better in, say, Eastern or Western Europe as opposed to the United States, as opposed to where can you see different preferences by country, by a state, and what are those?
Yeah, so although we are based in Europe, but vast majority of our customers are in North America, US, led by US, and Canada is the second largest market for us. So all those combined, more than 60% of our customers are in North America, and we have at least like one paying customer, more than 130 different locations and different countries. So really spread globally our customer base. So to your point, so email is the most effective everywhere. Text messages, they are effective everywhere. In some countries like Latin America, WhatsApp is quite popular, just as a tool for like communication tool. So if you're selling anything to like Latin America, so you should be using WhatsApp as a marketing channel as well, or like preferably support and marketing channel combined. This is like how effective. In Europe, like other tools like, let's say, Viber, again, instant communication message.
Viber?
Viber. Viber. Yeah, so it's being developed like in Europe, and now it's owned by Rakuten, so Japanese group. So yeah, so some like Asian countries, some European countries, let's say this like instant messaging tool is popular. So, and it's all based about like similar to WhatsApp, based on your phone number. So it's kind of quite popular here as well. So it's kind of really how do you say that? The logic is just exactly the same, or the channels are exactly the same, just the tools might be different because in different locations there are like some of the tools are more popular than others, but they're just doing exactly the same, just direct communication, instant messaging.
That's very interesting. WhatsApp, it would never even occur to me to use it. I think the only time I've ever used it was when I was in Latin America. Are there any ways that you guys are differentiating yourselves, any kind of secret sauce that you guys have? Like, what is it that has enabled your company to grow so quickly in a field that, I mean, you have to have a tremendous amount of competition? Like, what do you think that you guys have been able to do a little bit differently in order to make an impact and grow at the rate that you're growing?
Yeah, so I would say a couple of things. First is we, since the very beginning, since the launch of a product, we're focusing on commerce only. So that's, building a product which is universal and like one size fits all. Usually you have huge challenges. So in our case, we're focusing on e-commerce only. So which really helped us to provide with the best experience for those who sell online, really bring some additional value, like as pre-built default templates of like the most effective automations there, et cetera, et cetera. So it's kind of so easy to start using Omniscent. Like learning curve is much lower comparing to some other tools. It's, I would say, the first thing. The second thing is really omnichannel approach. So having all those different channels on a single customer flow and having this single customer view and customer profile, which is like, all the data about the customer in one place, all those different channels. So no need to use 3, 4, 5 different tools. Have a mess of that data synchronization, which usually is really a mess, and you are losing a lot of data trying to use one tool for email, another tool for SMS marketing, third tool for web push notifications.
Just streamlining it.
Yeah. So it's all in one place. So much more convenient, and of course much more cost effective for you as well, comparing to having like the stack of 3 or 4 different tools.
So what would your advice be? Obviously, you've seen a tremendous amount of companies. What would your advice be to somebody that has just started an online business, or maybe they're getting hit with the same thing that the businesses that you mentioned earlier? What would be the best way to learn from the mistakes that you've seen other people make, or what would be that quick little checklist of things that you would give some advice to a new online marketer to make sure that they have buttoned up?
Retention starts with a first visit on your website. So like start collecting emails, web push subscriptions, Facebook subscriptions, text messages subscriptions, just, as soon as you can. Because usually what happens, 2% of your, like up to 3% of your entire traffic ends up in conversion. Whereas 98% you just lose. You pay a lot of money for Google, Facebook, Instagram to drive this traffic to your website, but they don't end up in conversion. So, let's say using pop-ups or sign-up forms, you can to sometimes up to 10% of those convert into subscribers, which gives you a second, maybe a third opportunity to later on convert them into buying customers. So really collect, use all the opportunities to ask your visitors, ask your customers to give you a consent to communicate with them later on. Like once you start collecting, start sending emails immediately. Emails, text messages, start communicating, because
get them while they're hot.
Yeah, exactly. Pretty common mistake. I just have only 100 subscribers. So what can I say to them? I mean, just not worth investing my money into building campaigns. Yes, on one hand, you are right. But if you start communicating with them after 3 months, when 3 months pass after they have subscribed, they have already forgotten about the fact that they have subscribed to you. They will report you as a spammer. They will unsubscribe from your communication. It will not be effective.
Do you find that a specific type of product or service is best suited for what you guys do, or is it more universal?
That's kind of vast majority of our customers are those who are selling some kind of like physical goods. But that's probably mainly because we are really well integrated with platforms like Shopify, like BigCommerce, like Magento, WooCommerce. So it's really out of the box, really works smoothly. So usually those platforms are being used to sell physical products. So probably that is the reason. But if you just have, let's say, you sell digital products, audiobooks, travel, whatever, tickets. So yeah, Omniscent really works. We have APIs, so you can integrate via API. So that being said, like for anything, we just kind of all the pre-built sets and pre-built integrations are more for those who sell physical goods. So it's just easier for them to use.
So, Arytis, you've already been extremely generous with your time. Take a moment, if you don't mind, and explain to people how they can find out more or where they can go to find out more about your product, connect with you personally. I don't know if you're a LinkedIn guy or a social media guy. How can people connect with you and find out more about how you guys are kind of changing the game from an omnichannel marketing standpoint?
Yeah, so for sure, Omniscent.com. We have a great blog, really kudos for our content marketing team. A lot of statistics there, a lot of great advice there. So Omniscent.com/blog. If you like reading, there is a lot of resources there. There are a lot of resources there, so you can download white papers, find great articles, and really educate yourself a lot. So I believe it's like about the company. Yes, and LinkedIn, Twitter. Those two are the most preferred. Although I'm not like super active in social media. Just last week, my head of marketing said, "Come on, Rudy, you are just too passive on social media. You should be more active."
It's a black hole. Be careful. I appreciate you joining. This was very, very interesting, and just trying to stay ahead of the mass conversion to e-commerce and digital is an insanely hard thing to do, and it's happening at a breakneck pace. I mean, just your kind of professional opinion that 7 to 10 years, everything is going to be omnichannel, and something else that you touched on that is almost like a touchstone for many people that I talk to in your position, which would be hyper-educated, hyper focused on this retail and being on the cutting edge of retail that I've heard over and over and over again is that there's not a designation anymore, right? It's not brick and mortar or e-commerce or buying on Instagram. Very, very quickly, it's all going to be one thing. Like consumers aren't going to even remember, did I buy it on my phone? Did I buy it? It's just going to all be one seamless process. And I think groups like yours that are helping, obviously for profit, but helping consumers and merchants kind of stay ahead of that curve and doing like what Shopify did for the checkout process, you guys are trying to do with the marketing process. And I think that groups like yours are going to be the ones that continue to kind of push the bleeding edge of this. And so I love sitting around and learning a little bit more about what you guys do. I took, a whole page of notes just while you were speaking. So if nothing else, I learned a lot. Now you've got to go get to bed. What time is it? 10 o'clock in Lithuania right now?
Yeah.
All right, go get some sleep. I appreciate you joining. I just want to take a minute to acknowledge you, Arytis, for joining and sharing your knowledge with us.
Yeah, thank you, Adam. Really great pleasure to be with you to talk. Really smooth conversation. Love those. Thank you.